What's up, Thrive family? Welcome to the Thrive Transformation Podcast. I'm your host, your favorite cousin, Cowboy Jay. Today's guest is a man who refuses to be put in a box. He's a filmmaker, an entrepreneur, an actor, a mentor, a leader, a man of faith, a storyteller. And if you know him personally, you know he's also the type of man who can walk into a room and leave people better than he found them. But before the movies, before the business, before the impact, he was a young man with a dream, a purpose, and a willingness to find a way when most people would have found an excuse. I've had the privilege of knowing this man for years, long before I was a husband, long before I was a father, long before Thrive. I remember watching him compete on the basketball court with the guys half his age and still giving them problems. I remember watching him pour into young people. I remember seeing him tell stories that inspired people to believe in themselves. He even trained my wife. And one thing I've always appreciated about him is this. Whether I was in the room or not, he always spoke life into me. He saw something in me before I saw it in myself. In a world full of critics, he chose encouragement. In a world full of negativity, he chose belief. In a world where many people take, he has spent a lifetime giving. Today, we're talking about faith. We're talking about purpose. We're talking about leadership. We're talking about fitness, longevity, mentorship, and what it truly means to find a way when life gets hard. Thrive family, help me welcome my mentor, my friend, a man who's impacted countless lives, the one and only Cornelius Muller.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm trying to think, who is this guy talking about?
Yeah.
Maybe he got the wrong date mixed up with somebody.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that really...
I found the right man. You're the right man.
That blesses my heart, man. It really does. That blesses my heart. Yeah. Sometimes, I've been around so many wonderful young men like yourself over the years, and you kind of see them grow up and you lose touch, but you always remember, if he did something great, I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah. And I remember, watching you come up, especially at the Y. When you was just starting to train, and I can tell when you started taking it more serious, and here you are doing wonderful things for the community. So I'm equally proud of you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yes. In life, like my dad wasn't there. Not a bad guy. But I had to go look for those mentors. So whether you was a mentor or not, I still looked up to men. I found men that was actually doing it right. And for you, before I knew your background, you was my mentor based off, hey, this man is older than most of everybody that's in here playing at the Y. He's still getting it in. He's whooping everybody tail. What is that? What does he have in him that I can have, that I can take from that? And the way that the younger guys respected you, it wasn't like when most people playing ball, there's a lot of cussing, there's a lot of arguing, and stuff. Basketball gets heated. That's what it's about. But when you were around, it was a little bit less of that.
Right.
And I noticed that early on because I didn't carry myself doing a lot of cussing and doing a lot of that. I wanted to lead the way, not saying that I never cussed or everything was perfect, but you showed me what a good man could be.
Right. Yeah. Right. Well, I appreciate that. And it always warms my heart. I know it sounds like just a thing to say, but when guys like you and they remember those things, and I did it because I grew up in the inner city. I grew up in New York City, and I grew up at a time when the crack epidemic first came out. And I kid you not, I've seen people shot, killed, walk down streets with bodies on the ground. And it sounds like you're sensationalizing it. I've told guys over the years, a lot of what you see on TV, I've lived it. And the only difference is that basketball, I grew up in a single household. Fortunately for me, my dad was around. My parents divorced when I might have been 5, 6 years old, what have you. But my dad came around every weekend to take my brother and I and the other kids in the community that didn't have a father figure, what have you. So basketball is what saved me. So when I moved to North Carolina, I figured it helped me maybe to do the same for others. And the Y was a great place. Number one, basketball is what I had in common. Number two, I was new to the area. I was able to meet people, and it became like a family. My mom is here now, but when I first moved back here, I didn't have anybody. I had, graduated from Elon and came back years later, and that's how it all began. And I met so many wonderful people like yourself, and just watching you and how young you are, and you're doing it. I didn't get myself together till I was probably 38, 39 years old. And I can tell you that because I worked at a bank and had a great job and it looked good in the community. And I was still doing my basketball stuff at the Y, what have you. I wouldn't get into trouble making, nothing like that. But everything that I was speaking into guys, the hard work, the discipline, and I realized that I wasn't doing it.
Yeah.
And here you are, you doing it at a young age. It wasn't until I was like 40 years old that I can honestly say that I started living my second dream. My first dream as a kid in New York City, I grew up playing basketball, New York City being one of the meccas of the world of basketball, especially back then. High schools within my conference had 2 and 3 McDonald's All-Americans on each team, which is unheard of. You're talking about top 25 in the country. And, New York City being 5 boroughs, I was Brooklyn Player of the Year. So it was slated for me to go play basketball. Make a long story short, I was being recruited from every major college in the country. I was supposed to go to St. John's or Syracuse. Things fell apart because my high school coach started telling these coaches that I was a problem. And I really wasn't, but I remember specifically a game. He told me to run a play and I waved him off. And I embarrassed him. And not knowing at the time, when you're 17, 18 and he's 35, you're thinking he's older, but he's really not that old himself. Just 2 years ago, 40 years later, he called to apologize because he realized that a large part of my career was in his hands. And from getting letters from every major university to nothing. So I ended up resorting to going to Western Carolina, then Elon. But, the Bible speaks of, he'll make, everything work together for our good, according to, those that love him according to his purposes. I know I messed up that verse a little bit, but you get my point. So it ended up working out anyway. But anyway, it wasn't until I was 40 years old. So just to see you I see you in the community at the gym, encouraging people twice your age, 3 times your age, and they respect you. And not only that, you do a great job, man. So keep it up, man.
And I really appreciate you. Like, of course, every time we cross paths and I'm with somebody else, the life, like what I just said in the intro, the life you speak into me, like I come back home and I be like, you wouldn't believe what Cornelius said today.
It's true, man. It's true.
It's like that. Because sometimes I get in my own head and I feel like what I'm doing, am I really making that big of an impact? Even though I'm not necessarily like training you or doing anything with you, but you see it when you're just walking in the gym and you look and see what I'm doing, and you see it from the outside in. So it's
man. Good. You're doing it well, man.
Thank you.
And you'd be surprised. You probably have a idea of like you said, you don't feel like you make a difference. These people that are paying you work hard for their money. Some, it's not extra money. It's part of their budget. Like, I really can't afford this, but I know that outside of God and my family, my health is my next best thing. So by you being able to do what it is you're doing in this community, it speaks volumes, especially at your age. When I see you with somebody twice your age, because most older people, they're like, well, this young dude, what do you know? But that says a lot about you and your character and the vibe you give. And then on top of that, you know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. I see Brother Dave Morton commenting on your stuff. I'm like, you know what he's doing. You're making a difference in the community.
I try to, but I mean, it's either you can do good or you can do bad, and I choose to do good.
Keep doing it.
It's a lot easier to do good than bad. So
it sure is. Takes the same amount of energy.
Before the movies, before the business, who was young Cornelius Muller?
Again, I grew up in New York City during the crack epidemic. It was in middle school. I started playing basketball at 13 years old. My PE teacher, she's a female. She actually taught me how to play the game of basketball. She got me, involved in, first of all, she taught me how to play, then she got me involved in one of the premier AAU programs in New York City, the New York City Gauchos. To this day, they have more NBA players that have come out of the Gaucho program than any AAU program in the world. you talk about the who's who in New York City. They play for the Gauchos. So anyway, and then she got me involved. Then she got me to a private all boys school, which is a prestigious all boys school to this day in New York City. So that's how I grew up. I grew up playing basketball and watching all the drug activity and a lot of graffiti on the wall. Rest in peace, this guy. Rest in peace, that guy. Rest in peace, this guy. That's who I was as a young guy. Went to all boys school, high school. Wasn't a popular kid by no means, but I knew as a kid that I wanted something more. I grew up poor. My parents grew up. Again, my parents were divorced. Grew up on welfare, as they call it, government cheese. But I knew I always wanted a bigger and better life, and it was basketball. Basketball and the hand of God, because we grew up in church. It was the best thing my mother ever done for me in my life, is to take me to church. I didn't understand it then, because in New York City, unlike the South, doesn't matter what the weather is, things is open. Life still goes on. You 3 feet of snow, you're going to school. It ain't no, possible snow, close everything down. It's not like that in New York City. So it was basketball in church. And I didn't realize till I got older how much that kind of saved me as well. And it's just by the grace of God, because I've done some stuff as a youngster as well. I had my hands in some dirty stuff that luckily I was smart enough and got myself out of it, because we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. It's the hand of God, man.
Yeah. God is good.
All the time. God is good. Yes, he is.
Yes, sir. So what's something people believe about you today that's completely wrong?
I think people, when I first came here, so I've never been married, never had kids, and my desire is to have a family one day. I think I'm past that age where I could have biological kids, because I can't see myself marrying somebody 15 years younger. But I always thought I would adopt somebody. But because I have not gone the traditional way, I'm all for marriage, I'm all for the institution. But I've also grown up in a situation where 99.9, almost 100% of the people that I grew up, they got married. You have the cheaters, those that stayed in it because, convenience, cheaper to keep, or whatever it might be. And I think a part of that scared me. So I think what people started thinking, well, he's not married, he doesn't have any kids, something's got to be wrong with this guy. Is he, let me pull out the microscope, let me see. It has to be an ulterior motive. And the ulterior motive is that people did it for me. And because the older I get, I realize how they sacrifice. So when I take kids to and from the Y that don't have a car, and then get them something to eat on the way home, 2 or 3 people did that for me as a kid. I never realized how big of a deal that was. They spent their money. They weren't my parents or family, but they cared about me. They knew things. Not that I didn't have food at home or what have you. Mom and dad always provided, though they were divorced. But that's what's, and that's what kind of drives me to this day. So I think the one thing people don't know about me, I'm not perfect, but my heart is in the right place. I've always, my motto now in life, serve God, serve people, period. That's it. Serve God, serve people.
And I think with that, regardless of whether you're having kids or not having kids or not having a wife, people can still look at your heart. Based off you working with all these other kids and how you treat them. And like you said, you taking them home after a workout where you could have just went on home, did your own thing. Because I found myself doing that as well, because I was coaching at Graham High School. I was assistant coach. I graduated ECU 2019, the end of 2019, November I walked. And then that first was technically second semester, but the beginning of 2020, I became the assistant coach at Graham for basketball and football. And I found myself, when I became the actual head coach, I was starting to take kids home. I was picking them up. I bought all the players' shoes. Going to pick them up food, but we don't realize how big of a blessing and how good of a person you have to be for parents to trust you to get their kids back and forth. So, and for you to put that time into their kids when they're not, that shows a lot about who you are as a man.
Every good thing about me is from above. I certainly don't take credit for it, and that's not false humility. And just with the kids, because I haven't had kids, just by seeing people like you and some of the other kids in the community, they're doing well, they're good husbands, they're good fathers, they're doing great things in the community. It filled that void of me not having my own. So if I can love all you guys, I'm like, I couldn't imagine my own, but it's still, with all the love I get, it's still a great deal. Great consolation prize.
Yeah.
Keep doing what you're doing, man.
Yes, sir.
Keep doing what you're doing, because I know it's at times it gets rough and like, why am I doing this? I can be home with my wife and my kids. But you'll never understand how honored I am to be here, for you to have the kind of respect that you have for me, but equally for you. And when you get to be my age, when somebody at Planet Fitness or Grandmother Y, and they'll bring their kid and say, this guy saved my life. And you're like, what? I just took you back and forth to practice, but you have no idea that you literally saved their life.
Yep.
Yeah. So keep doing what you're doing, man.
Yes, sir. You too. If I called your closest friends from 20 years ago, what would they tell me about you?
Very competitive in all areas. You know, I like to compete in every sport and anything. I'm not good at a lot of sports, but I compete. And most of them tell you that I'll give you the shirt off my, I'll give you the shirt off my back. My parents raised me right, though they were divorced. Growing up in the church, I came from still a great family, a lot of love, a lot of support, a lot of encouragement. So I don't think they would say anything, sideways or anything. I think they would say, he always had his dreams. He's always worked hard, and he's still dreaming. He's still working hard, still, trying to make things, better for everyone involved.
Good. Right on. What's the most ridiculous thing you've ever done trying to impress somebody?
I think the most ridiculous thing, when I first moved here to North Carolina, I was really liking this young lady. And I went out and bought all this fake jewelry and, had a wife beat. I had started a 3-on-3 league at the Y, and it was all for teenagers. But here I am, old enough to be all these kids' father. So she comes in the gym, she was divorced and had a child or what have you, a couple of kids. And I remember going out and buying this jewelry, this wife beater, trying to impress her. I might have been early. I'm like, man, look at you fool, you clown. She wasn't impressed. And I went, and looking back, I'm like, I wouldn't be impressed either. That's probably the most ridiculous thing. I'm like, dude, first of all, you're not no thug. You're not that dude. You're trying to look like some throwback rapper from. Oh, man, that's probably the most ridiculous thing I think I've done.
Right on. Everybody says they trust God, but trust isn't tested when things are going well. Trust is tested when the answer doesn't come, when the money isn't there, when the door closes, and when the future is uncertain. What season tested your faith the most?
I think the season that tested my faith the most, though my basketball dreams didn't come to fruition. I played 2 years at Western Carolina, transferred to play to Elon. So even at Elon, I have it, in my studio, I have a letter from the NBA on my wall. And it actually came on my birthday saying that I was on the list to be drafted. So I was one of six kids in the country from small schools that was on the list. 156 people makes the board, 54 get drafted every year. So not fulfilling that part of it, I think that was a letdown. But I think, as they say, God has always, to me personally, this is just not legalism, religion, he's always revealed himself, and I always knew he had something better for me. So I never looked at it like it was a failed dream or didn't happen. I just think he wanted me to go in a different direction, which led me to what it is I'm doing now. Making films to point people to Christ, for those that don't know Christ, and for those that know Christ, just to edify the body. So I think the answer may be no in some respects, but yes in other respects, because he always has something bigger and better when the door closes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you find it hard to reconcile with that, hey, this is actually okay, this is the way that God, this is the path that he's telling me, I have the way I want to go, how I want my life to go? Was it hard for you to take that right to go down God's path?
It was because ego and flesh got into the way, because every time I went back home to New York, when a lot of guys that, let's just say I was rated higher than in high school, what have you, they were still playing in the NBA and or at least professionally. And even when things didn't work out for me professionally, internationally, it was a hard pill to swallow, because as an athlete, when you know you're better than somebody, not cocky or arrogance, but when you know it's not even close, they're making all this money, living their dreams, and all the accolades and the fame and everything you think that you want that comes with it, and you're just working a 9 to 5, and like, how in the world? It's a hard pill to swallow, but you know, with age and maturity, you know, that famous saying, it is what it is. Yeah. You know, after that door closed, I had to be okay with it, and be okay with it even from the standpoint that I don't even have to revisit it or relive it. I'm talking about it in the interview space now because of the questions, but you get to a point that, you know, it's just a part of your life. You know, that door closed. Now, you know, we're on to something else.
Yeah. I had battled with that because coming out of high school, I had D2 and 7 D2 scholarships, but those schools wasn't where I wanted to go.
Right.
My coach didn't do his part, and the same to get back to what you said before, your coach didn't do his part with he didn't do his part by pushing your name out there, maybe your game footage or whatever, so that you could be where you thought you, or whatever path that you were heading down. My coach did the same thing to me. And then I had battled with that what if, but if I would have went down that route of going to one of those D2 schools and they wasn't one of my favorite schools, my thing was, am I going to be happy here regardless if I'm an all-star or I'm sitting the bench or I get hurt and can't play no more? Am I still going to want to be here? And for any of those schools, I don't think, maybe it was I didn't love the game enough to put my career to the side, because I'm a first generation college graduate. So that was a big, having 2 sisters up under me, that was going to be a big accomplishment.
Right.
Because even like doing all the applications for the schools and stuff, I had to do that on my own because my mom really didn't know much about it.
Right.
And I had to do it with my guidance counselors and stuff like that. So having those 7 schools, and then I ended up going to ECU. That's where I wanted to be, either ECU or Carolina. Those were just my 2 favorite schools, regardless of if it was sports or not. But I think that, in which he apologized it was the beginning of, it was midway through the season. He apologized, Jay, sorry that I didn't have you in the quarterback position as much as I should have, and helping you get better over the years since you was a freshman, because freshman to senior, I only had 4 years of being a quarterback ever in my life. I always played football. It was like running back, linebacker, all of that. But as a 9th grader, that was just my first year playing. So it took a lot of time for me to get as good as I had became. And I just didn't, I fought that, do I regret not going? But for me, is now looking back, I don't regret it, because I wouldn't be here with you right now.
Yeah, there you go.
And through that, it was a lot of prayers, a lot of talking to God through that. And my wife, Kenzie, she played a big part in me making that decision as well. And she didn't even know that, because I made the decision partly because she was still at home as well, because I was just so in love. Yeah. And that's like my first time ever saying that part about her playing a big part in me staying home, or not going to one of those other schools to play and stuff like that. But it was a lot of crying and heartache because I wanted to go that route, but it just didn't happen the way. But I'm
like
good.
I look at you now.
I'm good. I'm good.
Look at you now.
Right on. We live in a world where everybody wants God's blessings, but not everybody wants God's process. What has God's process taught you over the years?
I think his process, I think his process has taught me to trust in him, not just seek his face, but really find out what it is that he wants. Because most of us, we want it yesterday or want it now, what have you. But I do believe, he gives us the desires that we have, as long as they line up as far as with his word, love him, serve people. And you can serve people in so many different, you don't have to just be a pastor, work in a church or what have you to serve people. Love him, serve people. And I just think if you just trust him, things will always work itself out. I think a lot of us, though, we put so much on his plate when he's given us the ability to do what we should and can do. Because if you think about it, in this part of the world, we are so much more financially well off than the majority of the world. People have no idea that a poor person here is considered literally rich to some people in other parts of the world. So if they have just as much faith, if not stronger faith, do you not think you have a father, you're a father, you have kids, you want the best for your kids. Do you not think he wants the best for them as well? Yeah. But it's by circumstances that, they live there and we were blessed to be, be on this part of the world, what have you. But a lot of it, it's, you got to do the work. Yeah. As they say, faith without works is dead. You can't pray yourself into the NFL. Mm-hmm. You can go to church when the doors open and read the Bible from cover to cover, every year. You can't faith your way into the NFL unless you do the work, lift weights, get better, do the drills. So I think a lot of it, it's on us. So even though there's a process of waiting, he'll do his part, but if you don't do your part, you're gonna be waiting the rest of your life, man. Yeah. And I've seen that growing up in church. And I see people still, quote unquote, trusting the process, still waiting, when clearly you got to go to work if you want to get paid. Yeah. You got to, so it's part of it's trusting him, but doing your part as well. Yeah. Yeah. That's just my belief on it. Mm.
I agree 100% with that. Yeah. My belief on it. Cause you got to put the work in. You got to put the work in, man. And like me and Kenzie, like, I didn't grow up with money. She did. Right. So she always had a certain lifestyle that she has always had and been able to do things. And me growing up, I didn't know that we didn't have as much money if I'm comparing my life to hers. Right. But we still had a great time. Right. And to us, we were rich. Right. And then like me coming into her life or her coming into my life, and then me being able to live the lifestyle that she had, especially like coming up through high school. And then like me just seeing her parents' house and stuff like that and being able to do the things that they did, it showed me what like hard work gets you. But once we had graduated, I graduated 2019, she graduated 2021 from Charlotte. We both wanted it now. And we didn't want to wait and be patient. And like her parents even said, y'all right now in y'all life, y'all got good jobs. You both got your own businesses. You both then graduated. Y'all, even though y'all are living in an apartment right now, y'all are a lot farther along than we were at y'all age. Because where y'all at right now, we was probably 30 something by the time we compared to y'all right now, a few years ago. So it's that instant gratification kind of got us into, I ain't gonna say trouble, but I guess trouble could be the word, because we always wanted it now. Even though we had a lot and still had a lot going for us, right? And growing and not just giving to us, we actually working hard for it. We just wanted it. We wanted the big house, the 3-4 car garage, and we just get upset like, why ain't we got it? We worked this hard, but it's
you got it now.
Yeah.
You got it now. So you got it now.
So we're blessed. We're blessed and grateful, and definitely that big part is keeping God first.
You got to.
That's that prayer, making sure, like, because sometimes we can get a little slack with making sure that either going to church. If we don't go to church, we need to make sure we definitely reading our Bible, we studying the Bible throughout the week and not just on Sunday.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the biggest growth for us has happened. Instead of us just going to church on a Sunday, we're actually doing a lot of the work during the week.
Right.
We're saying our prayers together every single night, and stuff like that. So I think that right there keeps us grounded, but it keeps us hopeful and wanting more each and every day.
I love it, man. That's the way to go, man.
Yeah. What would you tell the person watching right now whose faith is hanging on by a thread?
It's easy sometimes to say trust God when things are falling apart, because the natural human flesh and mindset, well, what kind of God, what kind of father will allow this to happen to innocent babies, or or my grandmother, she never hurt anybody and she's suffering or whatever. But he has a bigger plan, and the other side is that we live in a sinful, fallen world, and also the circumstantial will of nature, meaning that people fail to realize it's not so much what God is doing. A lot of what comes to us, not in all cases, but are decisions from generations or last week or last year. You know how you can tell the future? By what you're doing today. That's going to determine what your future is like. But the circumstantial will of nature is that if I pick up this guitar right now, hit you in the head, you're like, well, why God let him do that? God ain't had nothing to do with that. The circumstantial will of nature, meaning that I had the ability to pick this guitar up and hit you on the head. That probably wouldn't be a smart move, because I know you probably roughed me up in here. But then it got nothing to do with God, though. So it's hard to say trust God and have faith when things are falling apart. But I can't imagine not trusting him even when things are falling apart, because this world is crazy, man. And I don't know how people in your generation think, but what I see now, it wasn't like this when I was your age. I mean, the world has gone crazy. So I can't. So good, bad, ugly, I'm gonna trust them if everything falls apart. That's just because it could always be worse. It could be a whole lot better. But I always believe that trusting him and having faith in him is still gonna be all right at the end of the day. Yeah.
And that, like, going back, like you said, like back in your day, like you could just walk up and down the street. Kids would be running around the neighborhood. You don't know where your kid at, but you know that they're probably safe. But like me growing up in Caswell, like I hear a lot of older people say, like, that saying is now, like, you can't keep your gun in the truck no more.
Right.
Because people will just run up in your truck and steal it. But like back in the day, like when I lived in Caswell, I was up and down the road. Mama didn't know who house I was at, but she know like the area vicinity that I was in. And like nowadays, most kids, I don't see no kids around here running around having
different.
And it's like you just can't trust people not to hit you upside the head with the guitar. And times, and I've seen it from then to now, and I'm only 29, and I've seen that big of a difference in the little time I've been here, been alive. It's crazy to see.
And if you believe in the Bible, you believe in God, and he speaks of the adversary, people think of him as this some cartoonish figure, but I'm not surprised, because that's what the adversary is here to do. It's to cause destruction. As the book says, the Bible, he comes to kill, steal, and destroy. So a lot of times we forget that. So that's why, we're living in this crazy world, because that's what he's supposed to do.
And it's like you have God's will, and then you have your own willpower. And there's a big difference in between the two, like you just mentioned. That people think like, well, why did he just hit me upside the head? Why did God let him do that? It ain't got nothing to do with it.
He got nothing to do with it. He could prevent anything and everything if he chose to, but that's not how he set the world in place. I mean, we have decisions, and there are consequences of the decisions, and unfortunately, because it's a fallen world, sometimes you can do everything right, and it's still, the sky's still falling on you. That's just how we live in that world, sinful world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like this, of course, my podcast is called Thrive. And the meaning behind Thrive is, of course, when you're thriving, you think of success, and success in many ways. But for me, I have pillars: faith, family, fitness, purpose, finance. You've been in the finance sector and stuff like that. So, and then instead of the I in Thrive, I got the number one.
Oh man.
The number one is meaning you need to put yourself first. And most people think in order to thrive, if I put myself first, that means I'm being selfish. And for me, I believe that if you put yourself first for 1 hour a day, that's being selfless, because there's no way that you can thrive, no way that you can have the energy to do what you got to do for everything that's pulling at you if you're not physically, mentally, and spiritually fit. So with that, I think by you giving yourself, every man, every woman should give themselves an hour each day and investing into themselves, whether that's the Bible, that's a workout, that's meal prepping food, something that's a hour nap that you might not have got because you lost a lot of sleep. Maybe you got kids, maybe you working a lot. By you putting yourself first for an hour a day, you're able to give yourself that energy back, so that you can give everything else 100% of you. Because you can't. If I'm only working at 20% today, and somebody need 80 of me, there's no way I can give them 80%.
Right.
If all I got is 20.
Yeah. I love
But
that.
but by me investing in myself,
I love
I'm
that.
able to pour back into myself so I can pour into others.
I love that.
So what does thriving mean to you? How are you able to thrive?
I believe in that same philosophy, believe it or not. Mine is, taking time out to be with God the Father. That's typically how I start my day. Get up, coffee. I typically read a proverb, whatever day it is. Today's the 9th, so I read Proverbs 9 this morning, and then I'll read another Bible verse. That's how I've done that for the last many years. And then, of course, the other part of it, not just that, is the exercise. If I exercise every day, in a year of 365 days, if I missed 1 or 2 days, that's a lot. Unless I'm sick, and I don't do sick. So, I'm all about that. Now, at least an hour a day, if not more. So that's how and luckily for me, I think it started from growing up playing basketball, because for all my life to this day, I still play, not as much as I used to. But if I'm not playing, I'm in the gym, walking, elliptical, running, lifting weights. So at least, and getting with the Father at least an hour a day.
Good. And like when I see you in there working out, it's not like you're fitting it into your life. Like it's a part of your life.
It's a part of my life. Yeah, it has to be.
And I think that's the biggest misconception that most people have when trying to get healthy, get fit for whatever reason. They're trying to fit it into their life, so that's why they can't stick to it. Yeah. That's why they can't be as disciplined. That's why they try to look for motivation to keep them going. But then as soon as they miss a day, then they think that they just might as well just go and stop. Go ahead.
No, I agree with you. It has to be a part of your life. I like the way you said that. And people have no idea how important your health is. If you're fortunate to be able to walk to make it to a gym or do something at home or whatever, there's so many people in the world that would trade places that are not physically able, and they're not because they're old or whatever it might be, but people take it for granted. And I see people, some of my former teammates, college mates, and they look 30, 40 years older than me. And their fitness is failing and they're falling apart. Now, you can be in the best shape and still die of a heart attack. Don't get me wrong, get hit by a car. But if I live to see tomorrow or 5 years from now, I want to be in the best possible, physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, as you said. But it still baffles me that people, they just don't think well, I'll do it later. I'll do it later. It ain't. Yeah, if you to predict the future is what you're doing today. Not that you can't change that, but you need to do it today.
Yeah, and I think
you gotta take care of yourself, man.
if you don't do it today, when will you actually do it?
Yeah.
For one. And then what people don't get, they think it's hard now, but it's gonna be hard later. Probably even harder because now you might be on the medications.
Yep.
You might have hospital doctor visits, too many doctor visits that's taking up most of your time. Whereas if you would have just went out for those walks, what most people don't do. Even instead of sitting on in a chair, sit on the floor. You might end up reaching to stretch a little bit or doing something like that. But I think that's gonna be that's the biggest thing. Do the hard right over the easy wrong. And everybody knows what the hard right is. It's gonna be for us that work out each day. It's hard for me to get in here, wake up at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning sometimes, but I still make my way in here. And even if I take a day off, it's really not truly a day off, what would be considered for most people, because I might be in the house and doing some push-ups. I'm doing some cardio, walking at least. I'm outside making sure I'm playing with Luca. I'm staying physically active and not just sitting on the couch eating everything. Yeah. If you had a conversation with every man over 40 right now, what's the one thing you tell him about taking care of his body?
If you don't take care of your body's not going to take care of you when you really need it. And you mentioned hard. Working out and staying in shape is hard. Being out of shape and not working out is hard. But at least working out and staying in shape, though it's hard, the benefits you will reap from doing that for years to come, it certainly outweighs not doing anything, because you can't not do something, expect something. It's like you not going to work and expecting the check to be in your mailbox. So same thing with working out. You cannot not take care of yourself and then expect to live, this feeling good life. And people, then that's when they throw faith in God, and God ain't got nothing to do with that. God ain't got nothing to do with that. So especially as you get older, go to the doctor, get your physicals, do your blood work. A lot of things can be prevented, but exercise and eating healthy, and people think that you got to do all this hard stuff. Just do something. And the more you do, the better you feel, the more you're going to want to do, if doing something hard is what appeals to you. But you don't have to do, this crazy stuff just to stay in shape, but just do something. I think got to do something.
People they say it's hard before even trying. I had a client, even though she's in great shape, but we was doing got the bar out this week, and we was just doing a T-bar row, training her and her boyfriend in here. She was, I think she early 60s. And I put 85 pounds on the T-bar row, so she was doing some bent over rows with it. And before she even got to it, she was like, Jay, that right there is hard. I was like, hold on. I stopped her right there. How do you even know it's hard before you even tried it? But most people think that they got to do 15 reps, 20 reps, 30 reps, 100 reps to get in a good workout. Whereas, so then they think if I'm doing more weight, I still got to try to get 15 reps. And I'm like, just give me 5 reps. Give me 5 reps with the 85. For one, I already know you because I can see it. For one, how I train, if I know something is hard, I'm looking at how fast you're moving it, facial expressions, how hard you're breathing. So I'm looking at all these other things without you even saying a word to me to let me know she can go up in more weight or she need to stay there. So I already knew she already had, she can do at least 100-pound bent over row. And she don't realize it because she still think that I got to do 15, I got to do 1,000,000 reps. No, just give me 5. She got the 5 and got all the way up to 12.
Wow,
with
that's cool. That's good stuff.
60 years old with 85 pounds,
Yeah.
bent over up.
Yeah.
Most people can't do that. And I'm like, now, do you actually understand what you just did and what you just overcame mentally and spiritually, because you were defeated before even trying it.
Yeah.
And now look at you smiling,
Yeah.
laughing, your boyfriend back here hyping you up and everything. So it's a blessing to be able to see people overcome those things and overcome those defeats, and they ain't even tried it yet to even try to before they can even overcome it. So it's good.
Yeah.
It's good. Yeah.
Good stuff, man.
Most men hit a certain age and decide to let themselves go. Somewhere along the way, they stop competing, stop moving, stop challenging themselves. Why do you think that happens?
I think they get comfortable and start comparing themselves with the majority of the people. And I think with anything in life, 5%, I've always tried to live in that. I want to be in the top 5% in whatever it is I do. And I think it's easy to be in that 95% because that's what 95% of people do. They let themselves go. Well, I'm getting old, and because I'm getting old, that means, I shouldn't care about how I look. It's not the most important thing. We start telling ourselves all this stuff to justify, what it is we're doing, or should I say not doing, what have you. But, I think that's just all a mentality, just a mentality. And most time around the people you're around, because as they say, my dad would always say, you show me your friends, I show you you. If you're around 5 unhealthy people, you'll be the number 6. So and a lot of times that's what people are around.
Yep.
Most of their friends they've thrown in the towel or what have you.
Yep.
So they say, well, they've done it, might as well, instead of encouraging their friends to, look, we don't have to throw in the towel. Let's keep this thing going, or better yet, maybe I can find some other folks that are still interested in health and fitness and take care of myself. I think that's just following the leader type deal.
Yeah. And I don't get it, because I'm actually better now than what I was in high school.
Yeah.
I'm in a lot better shape. Basketball, I'm a lot better. Football, I'm a lot better. And just any other sport that I play, even if I haven't played, it was like first time I picked up playing pickleball. Just by me being an athlete, it came so easy. So now I'm killing people that's been doing it for a while, just because I've stayed in shape. And if you don't use it, you lose it.
Yeah.
So that's just like, as you get older, you start to lose balance. You start to lose coordination. So my training reflects that. The things that I do on my day-to-day basis reflects living a functional, thriving life to always be that athlete in life, because we all in a game. It's just what part of the game you playing, what position you playing, everything we do. So if you treat it like that, I think that it'll be a lot harder for men, boys, anybody, women to give up that easy, because you got people that's 29 years old that I didn't grow up with, and they can't even barely get up and down the court. And I'm like, well, okay, I got a wife. I'm comparing now. Because what you just said, like almost like comparison is a thief of joy. I'm comparing myself. Now I'm like, okay, we same age. I got 2 kids. You got 1, maybe 2. You got a wife. We work and we doing all these things. So what did I do right, or what did you do wrong? What did he or she do wrong to now say, to make a move? Oh, I'm getting old. My knees bad. And my motto is for people just say, oh, I'm getting old. I was like, well, the older you get, the better you get.
Yeah, you can. You certainly can.
I mean, I know there's going to be a little bit more aches and pains, but that don't mean that the older you get, the better you get. Everybody out here drinking wine, why don't you say you want an older bottle of wine because it tastes better? So why don't you treat your life like that?
Exactly. I'm with you. You preaching now, brother.
The older you get, the more wisdom you should have.
Yeah. At least you would think.
Yeah.
You would think you got some more wisdom. The way you carrying on sometimes, like, oh man, you would think. Maybe it's too much wine.
You've shown that fitness isn't just physical, it's mental, spiritual, and emotional. How has staying active helped you show up better in every area of life?
I just feel better, and because it is a part of my life, I just feel better. And because it is a part of my life, I just feel better. And because it is a part of my life, I just feel better. And because it is a part of my life, I just feel better. And because it is a part of my life, I just feel better. And because it is a part of my life, I just feel better. And because it is a part of my life, I just feel better. And because it is a part of my life, I just feel better. And because it is a part of my life, I just feel better. And because it is a part of my life, I just feel better. And because it is a part of my life, I just feel better. And because it is a part of my life, I just feel better. And because it is a part of my life, I just feel better. And because it is a part of my life, I just feel better. And because it is a part of my life, I just feel better. And because it is a part of my life, I just feel better. And because it is a part of my life, I just feel better. And because it is a part of my life, I just feel better. And because it is a part of my life, I just feel better. And because it is a part of my life, I just feel better. And because it is a part of my when I'm, for some odd reason, if I'm down and out, meaning that I'm not feeling my best because of, illness, which is rare. I rarely ever get sick. I just feel better when I exercise. I just feel just a mental clarity. It's not only just that, the stress reliever, and then maybe the vanity part. I don't want to look, I'm not trying to stay young. I'm not trying to be young. I'm trying to be what my age is, but I don't want to look 30 or 40 years older than I am right now either. So it just keeps me balanced. I think it also, it instills disciplines in other areas of my life. It's not just, if I have to make myself go to the gym and the benefits of it, if I make myself go to work, I'll get the benefits of doing that. If I, make myself be friendly and love more people, I'll get the benefits of that. So I think it helps with every area of my life, not just just the health part of it. It's just a discipline that carries over.
It elevates everything else. When you invest 30 minutes, an hour into your life, training, picking up some type of weight, and walking at least, it elevates everything else in life. Because you're going to go through the hard, and when things are hard, when you get done with doing something hard, what is the first thing most people say? Oh, thank God that's over.
Yeah.
Okay, so you thanking God in the middle of that. That go the faith part. That go the spiritual piece right there when you in the gym and you're doing something hard. So most people don't get how that can be. You can be spiritually or faithfully elevated mentally and physically all by doing one simple thing, and that's investing into your fitness and your health. By doing one thing.
And it pays huge dividends if you invest in it, and if you don't invest in it, and it pays huge dividends as well. Dividends that you want.
You might be taxed a little bit harder. Purpose is funny because a lot of people say they want purpose, but what they really want is applause. They want the spotlight without the sacrifice. When did you realize you were chasing purpose instead of popularity?
I think I was chasing purpose once. So I did play professional basketball. I went to 3 different countries, and every opportunity that I had, I quit the team. So right after that, I said I wanted to be an actor because it sounded like the next best thing, because people have always been enamored with celebrity. And so I just told my folks that, because they're thinking, well, golly, you still have all these opportunities of teams calling for you to keep playing basketball. And realizing that, number one, I think some depression had kicked in back at the time, didn't realize it, and just didn't have, and maybe a lot of the disappointments because I wasn't where I thought I should be, and not still just being grateful to still be playing professionally and still be able to make a lot of money. So I said I wanted to be an actor or what have you. And I think I wanted to be an actor because I knew how basketball made me feel, meaning that if you're in a gym and you're playing well and the gym's just going crazy, there's no better feeling as an athlete of people just going crazy about your performance. But then I don't know the exact definition of serendipity. There were some things along the way that happened that I really felt, or not felt, I know that God has called me to do what it is I'm doing now, producing family inspirational film to point people to Christ that don't know him without beating them over the head with the Bible. And for those that do know him, just to have some great, content that they can look at that's not just so profane. So once I knew that, though I went into it chasing the applause, the fame, the superficial stuff that means nothing at the end of the day, but he still used that to point me in the direction to still, glorify him, just doing it something a different way. And now I could care less. I don't want to be famous. I just want to make a difference. I want, to leave this world knowing that I did all I could to make this world a better place, as big as the world is. And it may not be able to touch the whole world, but if I can just change one life or 2 lives or 100,000, whatever he wants me to change. So I think now it's pretty much just purpose, living a life, purpose-driven life.
Speaking of famous, you have a movie called Making Him Famous. What drew you to producing and acting in that film? What what helped you create that storyline of making him famous? Like, how is that a part of your story in any way? Like, is that any part in that movie, does that relate back to you?
It actually does, a lot of it. I believe I have 4 films right now that is on streaming platforms, commercially, nationally. And every part of it is part of my story to a degree, a large part of my story, but also the stories around me. They say you can't write what you don't know. People can, but I think I do better in my vein or my lane of writing or telling stories that I know. So, in that story, because I wanted to be famous. And in that particular movie, the guy was living a life of, fame or what have you, fell apart and then realized, serving people, there's no better life than this. And people think because you desire to serve people means that you have to live some miserly, broke, poor life. And it's the furthest thing from the truth. Yeah. The finances, if that's what drives you, that if you make good financial decisions, that'll take care of itself. But just because you decide to live a life of purpose doesn't mean that you still can't have nice things or still have a prosperous life. Yeah. But in that particular movie, he had all the things that he thought he wanted. His life fell apart, and he realized that serving people and helping people, is just as much, purpose in that than having all the things that I thought I wanted that didn't mean anything anyway.
Yeah. Graduated from East Carolina University, Bachelor in Science. I'm a health fitness specialist, human performance. Our class ring actually has surveyor on it, which is the term of service, being of service to people. So nice. And you keep speaking of service, and I think that goes back into the Bible, being able to serve others. Mm-hmm. And allowing that to be your purpose and not being selfish and only caring for oneself.
Right.
And being of service, did you realize that how big of an impact by you just being of service to people, being a survivor, did you realize how big of an impact you would make?
No, I wasn't really looking to make an impact. I was just looking to serve and to, give of myself, utilize what limited talents, or little talents that I had to give, thinking that it was helping them, but in turn, it ended up helping me just as much, if not more, than me helping them. I didn't do it to get something out of it. I just did it because it was the right thing to do. It didn't cost me anything. But lo and behold, I was the one that was benefiting.
Yeah. And I completely agree with that. It's just something about it. Sometimes purpose requires you to walk away from comfort. What's the biggest leap of faith you've ever taken?
I think the biggest leap of faith is to finally put basketball down, because even when I quit the game, I still had for years, I was in my early 20s, and for years, the next several years, I had still opportunities to play professional basketball at a high level internationally. And some of them guys were still making millions of dollars. So I think that was the biggest sacrifice, or saying, I'm going in a different direction, because I'm not, I don't have that money now today that I knew I could have had if I would have stuck with it. But I don't dread it, because I know great things are coming, bigger and better things are coming.
Well, you're doing great right now.
You're doing something right. I'm fortunate. I'm blessed. I can't complain.
If you could sit down with your younger self and give one piece of advice about purpose, what would you say?
Don't quit. Trust God. Develop a relationship with God, not just, living based on legalism, religion, all these rules, but really have a personal relationship with God. Trust Him. Do the work. Try to do, where nobody's perfect, but try to be the best possible person you possibly can. Make smart decisions. Just be the best person you possibly can and help people. Help people, serve God, help people. I didn't realize that back then, I don't think, as I know now, but I wish I had, because as your wife's parents said, you're so much further along. You're so much further along than I was when I was your age. And because you're trusting God, you've listened to the right people, you made the right choices, and your life is just going to get better and better. just because, stay the same track. And so I wish, that's what I told myself, just trust God and make better decisions and be around good people.
And you mentioned don't quit. What most people don't realize, and I think that I caught early on, is a lot of every successful person that you may meet failed probably more times than actually succeeding at all the endeavors that they set forth. And as long as you don't quit, you can lose, you can fail, but I think the misconception with most people, they think if they fail, they might as well just go and give up. They might as well quit. They got one flat tire, they might as well go and stab the other three. And I think that is the biggest problem that maybe young guys or young kids, period, might have. They shoot an air ball, they miss a game-winning shot, they miss a free throw, they fail. Now they feel like a quitter, they feel like a loser. But what they don't realize is that if you learn from maybe my elbow wasn't tucked enough, maybe I ain't jumped high enough, I ain't used my legs high enough, maybe I should have bounced past it instead of overhead past it in certain situations, that could have been the biggest difference. So now let's go back to the drawing board. Let's apply what we learned from those mistakes so it doesn't happen again. And I think, and when then they see a Cornelius Muller and they see a MJ, they see these other successful people, they think that it was just all wins.
No, and I learned that in high school, quitting a team that shouldn't have quit. And then there was a period of my life I was quitting everything. I quit the teams I were playing professional basketball. I'm like, who does that? Like, who quits a team? They're willing to pay you all this money, you quit, and it starts to follow you the rest of your life until something, it dawns on you like, this is not the right way. And I think a large part of the not quitting, I didn't realize that life is hard for everybody. People think, it rains on the just and the unjust. I mean, but if you can just stay in the game, and it may not reap the benefits of that particular thing that you're doing right then and there, but somewhere along your path in life, you not quitting, it will help you in that other area. And then from quitting basketball in high school, from, jumping back and forth these two, AU programs, and then quitting summer jobs, and then you end up having a history of just doing that, and then it's crazy, man. But you got to stick in it. You got to stay in the game. You want to win, you got to stay in the game.
Speaking of finding a way, the movie that you created was Find a Way.
Find a Way.
When that movie was being created, or when Harry had passed, which is, for y'all that don't know, was my quarterback. I was a freshman. He was a senior. He brung me in, like he was coaching me through those early months, coming into like summer ball and stuff like that. So he taught me what a good quarterback should be doing, how he holds himself, how he speaks on the field, how he leads, and being a multiple sport athlete. So that title tells me there was a lesson behind it. Where did that mindset come from?
I think, that title of that movie, Find a Way, for those that do have an opportunity to watch your great podcast here, can still be viewed on Tubi. It's, Find a Way is still on Tubi to this day. Download the app if you don't have it. But anyway, that was his moniker, Find a Way. I got that title from him. Okay. That movie was actually already in the works, but the title of the movie is crazy. Title was called Don't Eat the Devil's Dog Food. I know it's a long title.
Oh, yeah.
And then, so we had already wrote the movie. I want to say it was in development. And then when Harry transitioned on to heaven, we kind of changed the storyline a little bit. How does this story now in the community, impact the rest of the movie or the community, what have you? So we were actually, so it wasn't so much we wrote it because of him. The movie was actually in the process of being, written, and we used, we didn't substitute the title because that was his thing, find a way,
Yeah. I
yeah,
didn't know that. Good. So was the story already about him?
No, the story wasn't about him.
Okay.
It was about those same families, but now we threw that, that segment, of another family that was struggling and having a hard time.
Okay.
And then it more or less dominated the original story, which, we were happy that it played out that way. But yeah, that's how we got that title and that name, Finding a Way. No matter how tough things get, just find a way to, get to the other side.
Expect to win, find a way. And I still use that to this day because as a ninth grader, that literally set the tone for me to help me boost my confidence, my purpose in life. And when things got hard, or before it even got hard, I go into situations expecting to win.
Right.
Now it's my choice. I have to find everything to find a way to make sure that I win, or not necessarily I win, that whoever's working with me, whoever's in the room with me, we're all winning. Right. My clients, making sure that they're winning. I expect to win, find a way. My marriage, expect to win, find a way. Me being a great dad, expect to win, find a way. And when I'm playing ball, if we down by, I consider myself to be probably one of the best. If I'm playing with guys, which I do, I play ball every week, at least once every week. When I'm playing, I'm usually expecting to be the best. Now it's my duty, because I've always been in a leadership position through school, whether that's been the captain of football team, been the captain for basketball, prom king. I've had all these leadership positions, being president of the dream team in high school. I've had all these leadership, been the older brother, been the man of the house at a young age. So I think it's always been instilled in me, and me not knowing, that's just got to be what it is. Expect to win, find a way every single day. So now I can't blame nobody else but myself if it doesn't work out. Yeah. And then that allows me to keep my head on straight. It allows me to push harder, but not to point the finger at somebody else that didn't show up the way they should have.
That's maturity right there. You taking responsibility for yourself and what you did and did not do. Most people, we're living in a society where we're always looking to blame somebody else instead of looking in the mirror and saying, how could I have done something different to make, the outcome more favorable for me instead of blaming everybody else. It's mature, man.
Thank you. I was blessed to be a part of that football team, and you already having that movie in the making. So looking back, what did you see in that football team? What did you see in that family that made the story worth telling?
So Harry, I was fortunate enough to have been a part of his life, training him, working with him, what have you, in fitness and in sports or what have you. But when he passed, I don't think to this day, maybe with the exception of Dr. Maya Angelou, who was regarded as Oprah's mother figure, mentor, with the exception of her funeral, I've been to many a funeral of influential people. I still to this day don't think I've ever been to a funeral like Harry Cohen's. And that right there had told me the difference, not because he was just a star quarterback at a local high school in North Carolina, but just his impact of how he treated people, how people felt being in his presence, and it wasn't put on. He was just who he was, or what have you. So I think, being able to tell that movie and show, how a community can come together for the positive because of something negative that happened. It was just no better honor at the time. And in fact, it is my desire to retell that same story, just add to it at some point. It's definitely my portfolio to do that again on a much bigger stage. because he's one of a kind.
Yeah, and I love his parents.
Yeah, wonderful people.
His mom, Miss K, she taught my sister in middle school at turn time, and I think Mr. Kappenberger taught my sister as well.
Okay.
So and then when I taught at Graham, I was PE teacher over at Graham. She knew me through turn time and Williams, but then graduating and me actually working, she was working over there with the kids.
I heard that,
And she has a big heart of gold for kids. That's when I say she go above and beyond for kids that aren't hers. That's a blessing. That's
wonderful people.
Yeah,
wonderful people. And her twins, they're graduating this year.
I just seen that.
Yeah,
I just seen that.
How quickly time flies.
Yeah,
they were little, low people
Yeah.
like Harry transitioned on to heaven.
Yeah. You've always had the ability to connect with young people, whether it was basketball, football, film, mentoring, or just showing up. How have you been able to bridge the gap between generations?
I think most people want to be understood, respected, cared for. So I don't think it's so much having to bridge the gap. I think at any age, people want some type of approval or somebody that listens to them, or them knowing that this person genuinely cares about me. So I don't think it's so much. I still think I am able to identify with the youth as well as senior citizens or what have you. And I just think because I don't think it's put on. I do try to be invested in people. How are you feeling? How can I help you? What have you? And I think if people know you really care about them, it doesn't matter what the age is or what have you. They just know you care, and they thrive on that. Most of us do.
Yeah, and I can see that firsthand when I'm actually sitting here training clients that's 60, 70, 80 years old. Because every Wednesday, I train the Presbyterian Church in Graham.
Okay.
And every Wednesday, train them, and it's probably about eight older individuals, 60s, 70s, 80s. We sitting there doing chair exercises. They love me. They even threw me a baby shower.
Wow.
Just because they love me, but they know that I actually care.
You care about them. That's all people want. Just to know that somebody really cares about me. Don't want anything from me. You just care about me.
Yeah. And it's not about the money. They actually, for what I said that I would charge, they actually pay me more just because I guess they respect me and the joy that I bring them every week.
Yeah, you're doing good work. You started off by saying that sometimes you wonder if you're doing, a good thing. That right there in itself, because when older or mature people allow youth to pour into them, because to them you're like a little guy, you're a young guy, but for them to trust you says a lot about who you are, not just your expertise, because they can find somebody 50 or 60 years old that knows just as much, but because you care, and that says a lot about you.
And that was the biggest difference, because it was like a 50-year-old guy. I think exactly what they told me. A 50-year-old guy that was actually training them before, but he was moving on. He had to go do whatever he needed to do. So then, by word of mouth, when a massage therapist in town, she had, I guess, one of the church individuals went to her to get a massage, and she just told him about me, and then that's how we got connected. But it's like, it gotta be for anybody that's in that situation. It has to tell you a lot about who you are, especially being in a room of 60, 70, 80 white people.
Yeah.
And I'm a young black man.
Yes. Yeah.
That says a lot. So and I see a lot of kids battling with it. And the only reason why I speak about that is because there are some black men out there that's battling being the only black man in the room. I'm sure you've been the only black man in the room. Can you speak to that? Can you give that young man or that young woman advice to how to show up, how to talk, and how to leave and stay true to yourself?
Yeah, I think that says a lot, and I think that's growing up. Great parents, godly parents. The all boys high school I went to, was probably 99% Caucasian, what have you, and I learned a lot through that. They were wonderful people, and as I got older, what I began to realize that if you're capable, if you're doing the right thing, making the right decisions, and you have the knowledge for whatever it is, for whatever reason you need to be in a room, and you are the only minority in the room, says a lot about you that they would accept you in the room. And I don't want to say I thrive on being in that room, but I thrive on loving people, and because the kingdom will look like every color. I want to be just as much in our room as their room in any other room.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's selling out. You hear all that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, the way I grew up in the inner city of New York City, people have no idea how tough that is or what have you. I'm just as black, as they come.
Yeah.
But there's nothing wrong with being able to freely, give to everybody, doesn't matter the color. Yeah. No matter the color.
Right on. When you look at young men today, what are they starving for that they may not even realize they need?
First, a relationship with God, a real relationship with God, not just going to check the boxes or just going to church because mom and dad make me go to church, what have you. And someone that really cares and love them. I think we all thrive on folks loving us, caring for us, or what have you. And I think, I know what it is because people showed up for me, what that did for me personally. And I've also been around people that had a harder life because they didn't have anybody to show up. And then I've also been around people that didn't have anybody to show up and still decided that I'm going to have a good life in spite of no one showing up. But I think a lot of times, we just want somebody to be there that really understands or really cares to help us out and point us in the right direction.
I can agree to that because growing up, all I wanted was my dad to be there.
Yeah. We all want somebody to be there and say, good job, man.
Yeah. Even though I had life.
Yeah.
Everybody in my life, I had a lot of loving family and friends and people that cared for me, but that one that I really truly wanted. So I had to circle back around to your second part to that is going into God and not just checking off that box.
Yep. Because He is the one Father, true Father, the only Father when it's all said and done.
Yeah. What separates a good leader from a transformational leader?
I think you could. I think most people have the basic qualities to be a good leader. They speak well. They're educated. They can hold the attention of somebody. But I think the transformational leader is not only good, but he or she is willing to make a change, hopefully for the better or positive because of your influence. That they can pay anybody to come in here and give a great speech or what have you, but the transformational leader is going to be the one that when I leave here, I'm going to go do what Jay told me to do. I'm going to go do these push-ups. I'm going to go do this walking and all this other stuff. The good leader, again, he comes in here and says the same thing, but I'm going to go back and just still do what I've been doing, what have you. But I think that's the difference between a transformational leader, having somebody that can actually encourage you to start making the changes to better yourself versus just somebody that's going to give you a good, rah-rah speech. Yeah.
And I think that's all in the energy that you bring, but also the words that you speak into people.
Yeah.
Because people can really see if you're truly what's the word I'm looking for? If you're truly about what you're actually saying, the knowledge, the advice, the transformation that you're trying to bring to the table, are you actually living it? Or have you been through that, or are you just speaking about it and not actually having lived it? And like some people that I train, they be like, well, they could say, Jay, well, you ain't had no knee replacement. You ain't had no stroke with your whole side gone. Right. But I've still been in places where I didn't get people's knee surgery back, hip surgery. So I had a guy that stroke, whole left side gone. Physical therapy didn't help him. He couldn't, after his physical therapy ran out, he came straight to me, got him back walking, got him back driving
that's
again.
Good right there.
But they could have easily said, "Oh no, you're not qualified. You're not able to help me transform into the person that I want to be."
Right.
So I think that's
yeah.
Right on, brother. Right on. I want to make this personal for a second. One thing you've always done is speak life into me. You've always told people how great I am, especially like walking, saying what's up to you through the gym, and you show love and support. Most people criticize, you encourage. Most people tear down, you build up. Where does that come from?
I think that comes from believing in God, because everything you hear in your subconscious or in your mind, the encouragement you get from other people or within yourself, he's the one that's always going to lift you up. When the negative things you hear within your mind, I think that's the adversary would have you. So I'm not trying to be your God or anybody else's God, but we all need encouragement. And when I say we all need encouragement, I don't mean just saying something with no truth behind it just to make somebody feel good. But when I see you, I know you're doing a great job. So I'm gonna tell you you're doing a great job or what have you. If you're not doing a great job, it's still another word of encouragement. Jay, you look good. How you doing? That's still encouragement.
Yeah.
I don't have to say you're doing a good job when you're not doing a good job, but there's still other ways. So I think the encouraging, because he's always encouraging, God the Father's always encouraging me. He's pleased with me. He's always, so I figured, just passing along.
Right on.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. You've watched me grow from a young athlete to a husband, father, coach, and building my brand Thrive. What do you see in me now that maybe I don't see in myself now?
When I say that you are so much further along, you may not feel that way because this is all you know. But based upon what I've seen you do and just watching you from afar, that your future is so bright, man. You're already doing major things, and not just this community, but I think a larger community will benefit by what it is you're doing. If you keep doing, keep believing, keep trusting, keep faith in, and doing the work. I don't think you probably realize, because you've already accomplished so much that you haven't had. You mentioned that you and your wife grew up a little different or what have you, but I think there's so much more for you to have. And I don't mean just superficially, but just the relationships and the lives you'll touch. I think you're going to be, bigger than you even dreamed that you'll be. And just keep doing what you're doing.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Your future's bright, man.
Thank you. For the final question, Cornelius, imagine there's a young man watching this right now. He's tired, he's frustrated, he's broke, his faith is shaky, his marriage is struggling, his health is declining, his purpose feels lost, and he's thinking about giving up. Look directly into the camera and tell him, how does he find a way to thrive?
It sounds like it's just a generic, fruitful answer. God is the only way. He is the only, and I'm going to say person, because he's a person and some and spirit, that can transform your life into anything and everything you think you want that you're not right now. He's the only person that can help you do that, but you have to trust in him and then do the work that he's assigned you to do. And I know when you're not feeling, faithful, or your life is hard or whatever, but he is your only hope. The world will tell you different, to go to all these experts and this and that. And you look at the world, with all the experts, how are we doing? God is the only answer. I stand by that. The only answer.
Right on. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Yes, sir. Well, thank you.
Appreciate it, man.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate
Thank
it, man. Man, you're doing such a great job, man.
Thank you.
Really,
Thank you.
I'm honored to be here, man.
Yes.
I love this, man.
Yes,
This is
thank you.
wonderful.
Well, you can come back
I
anytime.
will.